Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. In the quiet hush of the night, when the outer world falls silent and the mind unfastens its grip on daylight reason, I feel the undertow calling. A strange pull beneath the ribcage, a summons. It is not from the heavens above, but from the sea below, the dark, glistening womb of the unconscious. I descend, not with force, but with surrender. The descent is not linear, it spirals. I am not walking downward, I am being drawn inward. The ego, the proud captain of the daylight mind, grows uneasy. It was never designed to breathe these depths. The surface voice says, "You will drown." But something deeper within replies, "You were always meant to submerge." Beneath the surface, the water thickens with memory. I pass relics, old images from forgotten dreams, the faces of ancestors I have never met, their eyes half open, watching. They speak no words, yet I hear them. Their grief, their longing, their secrets etched into the water like music too ancient to write down. I know now, the soul is not isolated, it is a continuation, a thread in the tapestry of time, and still I sink. The deeper I go, the less I understand in words, but the more I feel in symbols. The shadow rises to greet me, not as a monster, but as a mirror. He is made of all I rejected, all I feared, all I disowned to fit the mask I was told to wear. He smiles, not cruelly, but knowingly. "I am not your enemy," he says. "I am your unlived life." I tremble, for the ego has no weapon here, but this is not a battle, this is recognition. Beneath him swims the golden fish, the self, gleaming in mythic silence. Its scales shimmer like truths half remembered, half forbidden. It does not flee, it waits. In its presence I feel a reverence that has no name. Its eyes, vast and ancient, contain galaxies and graves. To follow it is to forsake the shallows forever. This is no ordinary quest. It is the pilgrimage of the soul returning to itself. In this sea, light and darkness are not enemies. They dance, they kiss. They merge. I see now that the mind divided them out of fear, but the psyche knows. They are two currents of the same ocean. One reveals, the other conceals, and both are sacred. Images rise from the silted floor, the child, pure and unbroken, the old sage, cloaked in patience, the mother, both womb and tomb, archetypes, eternal shapes that live inside us all. They are not figments of imagination. They are the imagination of the soul. And they wait in this place, not to be worshipped, but to be integrated. I have lost all sense of time. This descent has no clock, no map. Only the quiet knowing that I must go further still, I must dissolve. I must die, not in body, but in certainty. The ego weeps at this. It wants control, not communion, but the soul is older than control. It wants wholeness. It wants the gold hidden in the mud, and so I surrender. Let the waters take me, let the shadow name me, let the golden fish swim through my chest and leave a trail of fire. Let me forget who I thought I was, so I may become who I truly am. This is the beginning. Not a fall, but a return, not a failure, but an awakening. The descent into the unconscious sea is not the end of the self. It is the birth of the self, and I go willingly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The shadow stands before me, not as a demon, but as double. It bears my face, only darker, unadorned. Its eyes, though shaped like mine, glow with a strange fire, not hatred, not evil, but the raw, unfiltered heat of truth long denied. In the depths of its gaze I see not a monster, but a mirror, a reflection of all I would not see. This is the part of me I left behind, the anger I masked with politeness, the longing I suffocated with logic. The hunger for freedom I buried beneath duty. It has waited here quietly in the crypt of the unconscious, feeding not on darkness, but on my denial. And now, at last, I have descended to meet it, not with the sword or shield, but with the trembling question, "Who are you really?" It does not answer with words. It answers with presence, with memory, with the sudden recollection of a childhood scream silenced too soon, with the image of a love abandoned out of fear. with the voice I once called shame that was really the soul's cry for authenticity. And then it reaches for me, its hand is rough, calloused from carrying all I refused to hold, but it clasps mine with surprising gentleness. It does not drag me into madness, it invites me into truth, a deeper truth, the kind that does not fit in doctrines or polite conversation, the truth of the beast within, and the blessing hidden in its fur. We begin to dance, not with grace, but with gravity. Each step is a confrontation, each turn a confession. I see the envy I cloaked in judgment, the sensuality I moralized away, the rage that lived behind my forgiveness. This is not self-indulgence. It is self-retrieval. In the background I hear weeping. Soft, mournful, ancient, it is the animum, I soul's feminine essence, veiled in mist and sorrow. She cries not for my pain, but for my forgetting. She mourns the united life, the poems I never wrote, the touch I never dared to feel, the gentleness I denied myself in the name of strength. Her tears are not weakness, they are waters of rebirth, and I understand now. To truly embrace the shadow is not to descend into chaos, but to rise from fragmentation. It is not the shadow that destroys us, it is our refusal to meet it. The repression fractures the soul, tears it in two. The confrontation, though terrifying, is the stitching of the wound. I gather the fragments, the sinner and the saint, the coward and the warrior, the wild thing and the wise man. Each has a place, each has something to teach. This is not the hero's journey. This is the whole man's journey. I thought wholeness would be peace, but now I see it is tension held consciously. It is light that knows its roots are buried in the dark. It is a self that walks not above the shadow, but with it. The shadow does not vanish after the dance. It does not dissolve into light. It remains, companion, critic, guardian of the threshold, and I no longer fear it. For in its gaze I found not damnation, but depth, not corruption, but completion. To look into the shadow is to look into the eye of the soul's furnace. What burns away is illusion. What remains is the truth. In truth, however jagged, is sacred. In the shadow's embrace I am not less holy. I am more human, and through that humanness I ascend, not to perfection, but to wholeness. The man who turns away from the feminine within turns away from half his own soul. She visits in the indigo hours when thought loosens its grip. I feel her presence first as fragrance, moonlit lilac, rain on old stone, then as a shimmer in the dream, gathering into form, a woman woven of twilight and tide. Her eyes hold oceans, her breath carries prophecy. She is anima, the soul's secret queen, guardian of feeling, dream, weaver of the inner kingdom. Yet tonight her beauty is ringed with sorrow. Her once verdant garden lies tangled and thorn-choked. Fountains that once sang with imagination stand dry, their bowls cracked by droughts of my making. Petals of intuition, once bright, now fade beneath the dust of neglect. I sense her grief before I hear it, a low, aching melody that seeps through the dream like water through stone. I know the reason. I chose intellect over insight, order over mystery. I banished her to silence whenever her wisdom threatened the citadel of logic, and so the garden withered. She lifts a broken mirror, its surface spidered with fractures, reflecting my face in shards. See what becomes of a man. Her eyes whisper when he worships only the sun and forgets the moon. In that mirror I glimpse the consequences, relationships dulled by control, creativity shackled by perfection, empathy thinned to courtesy. The masculine without the feminine is a tower without a foundation, outwardly high, inwardly hollow. I kneel, not out of penance alone, but out of recognition that I have amputated half my own being. From the earth between us I raise a chalice carved from my vulnerability. Fragile, trembling, real, wordlessly I offer it. She takes the cup, and its rim touches lips of starlight. She drinks, and as she does, color returns to the dream. Vines unfurl, fountains quicken, petals blush awake. Life answers where love is received. Her eyes widen, no longer sorrowful, but ancient, infinite. In their depths I see three faces, the mother-rooted compassion, arms vast enough to cradle the world, voice that says, belong to yourself, then all things belong to you. The lover, wild rose and wildfire, the pulse of desire that rends the veils between souls, teaching me to savor rather than possess. The crone, moon, right wisdom, bones that remember cycles beyond my years, whispering, what you fear to lose is already changing shape. These archetypes do not compete. They interlace like rivers, feeding the inland sea of psyche. To honor one is to honor all. To deny one is to starve the whole. Listen, she says without sound, and I do. Heart first, mind second. Her language is not syllables but sensations, a swell in the chest when truth nears, a quickening pulse at the scent of beauty, a pang of grief when I stray from soul. She guides through feeling, leading me along spiral paths reason would label lost, only to bring me precisely where I need to go. I follow, past memories I packed in iron boxes, past emotions I shamed into stone, past the jealous sentries of control that guard the palace of certainty. Deep in that labyrinth we find a hidden door etched with a single glyph, self. It opens on a light neither bright nor dark, but encompassing both, a quiet radiance that needs no opposition to exist. This is wholeness waiting. She does not enter first. She places my hand on the latch. To step through, her gaze says, you must carry me with you. Voice, tears, intuition, desire, leave me behind and the door will vanish. I understand integration is not an abstract ideal. It is a daily vow to let the feminine speak through sensation, imagination, compassion, lest the garden fall to thorns again. I turn, bowing gratitude. In the distance the mirror mends itself, silvering smooth. The garden hums with bees, ripe with color. Her melody changes key from lament to lullaby, from sorrow to soft command. Live feelingly, create fearlessly, remember me. I wake before dawn, heart damp with dream, dew. Outside the real garden waits, neglected roses, silent fountain. I rise, fetch water, begin to tend it. Every drop a promise, every cut vine an old defense falling away. Somewhere inside I hear her hum, and the morning answers in birdsong. For each day I heed her subtle voice, the garden within and the world without bloom in the same breath. In every descent there waits a summit, and on that summit stands the one who has already walked your path. High above the clamor of daily thought rises a jagged peak, still and snow-lit, unreachable by ordinary means. It is to this inner mountain that dreams sometimes carry me, waking me inside their hush. There, against the white silence, a figure appears, the wise old man archetype of timeless insight, guardian of the soul's northern star. His beard flows like winter clouds, his eyes gleam like flint struck against eternity, and the staff in his hand is hewn from root and sky alike, one end buried in earth, the other pointing toward uncharted heavens. He does not greet me with flattery. He greets me with a riddle. Seek the stone, he says, voice rough as gravel, for within it lies the gold that is no metal, the marriage of fire and water, lion and lily, day and night. Unite what you believe cannot be united, and you will know what cannot be taught. The words fall into the snow, melting shapes no logic can hold. I want instructions, directions, guarantees. Instead I receive a koan that shatters the compass of certainty. Yet something in me stirs. The part that remembers truth is seldom linear. The old man turns away, vanishing into white. I begin the trek through a forest that encircles the mountain's base, an inner wilderness thick with doubt. Trees of old beliefs crowd the path, briars of skepticism tug at my resolve. Each step asks a question. What will you leave behind to travel further? Pride, perhaps, fear of ridicule, the comfortable weight of borrowed opinions, these must drop like ballast if the ascent is to continue. Night falls, in the dark, the shadow prowls, echo of my dismissed impulses. He steps from behind a moss, flick trunk, eyes amber in moonlight, testing my courage, turn back. He growls, but I have danced with him before. I bow to his warning, then pass, knowing he is not doorway but threshold. Farther on, the air flickers with the fragrance of the anima. She hums among the pines, threading intuition through the silence, guiding me by hunch rather than map. Her presence softens the darkness. Together we press on. Dawn. At a clearing center stands a boulder, mute, unremarkable, veined with quartz. Could this be the stone? I circle it, disappointed. No glow, no alchemical fire, only cold weight. Yet the old man's riddle echoes. Within it lies the philosopher's gold. I lay a palm on the rock. It is neither answer nor obstacle. It is invitation. My doubts ring hollow against its stillness. In that contact I feel the pulse of opposites, hardness and hiddenness, weight and potential. I realize the treasure is not inside the stone. It is the stone, common matter awaiting uncommon sight. Here the wise old man reappears, silent, watching. His gaze is flint and kindness both. I understand now. Wisdom cannot be handed over like coins. It must be quarried from the raw material of experience, hammered by persistence, polished by failure. He is not instructor, but catalyst. His riddles point, they do not deliver. The trek, the darkness, the confrontation with shadow, the listening to anima, these are the furnace where philosopher's gold is smelted, the unity of opposites born inside the heart. I bow. The snow stirs with his approval. Shadow steps forward, no longer snarling but solemn, and kneels. Anima rests her luminous hand upon the stone. In that trinity, shadow, anima, and the wise authority that mediates them, I sense the interior mandala turning, a living diagram in which every fragment finds its rightful quadrant. The old man taps his staff once upon the rock. A thin crack glows, then seals, as if to say, the gold is awakened, but its radiance must travel with you back to the valleys of ordinary life. Wisdom that remains on mountain-tops serves no one. As he fades into the dawn, I hear his final counsel ripple through the cold. Carry the stone in your stride, not in your pocket. Let its weight remind you that truth is both burden and buoy. And remember, every forest of doubt, every summit of silence, every union of fire and frost, is but another face of the self you are still becoming. I descend. No trophies in hand, only the resonant ache of integration, the rough imprint of stone on my palm, and the certainty that the wise old man walks within me now, staff striking sparks in each beat of the heart, whispering riddles that turn the path itself into gold. The mandala is a psychological expression of the totality of the self. At the hour when sky blushes and shadows still remember night, I awaken to a circle glowing on the inner horizon, not painted, yet luminous, not fixed, yet precise. It is the mandala, sacred diagram of wholeness, compass of the invisible journey. The dream sands on which it rests shimmer like stardust, as if the cosmos itself knelt to draw its secret signature before dawn could scatter it. I kneel beside it, breath held. The outer rim is quiet authority, a perfect circumference that whispers there is an order beneath all seeming chaos. Inside, patterns spiral toward a hidden heart, petals folding over petals, triangles interlocking, serpents devouring their own tails. Each form mirrors a psychic truth. A red petal burns with passion once feared, now redeemed as life, force. A band of blue rests beside it, the soft hush of peace discovered after battle. Filaments of gold thread everything together, the divine spark that endures when names and narratives fall away. I see pathways where once I saw scars, lines where once I felt fractures. Every incision life carved into me has become a spoke in the wheel, guiding rather than wounding. The mandala tells a paradox, that suffering, when circled by consciousness, becomes symmetry. Pain, when honored, becomes pattern. My fingers hover, then trace a crimson arc. I feel the throb of youthful fires, desire, anger, creative fever. How long I tried to snuff that blaze out of fear of its wildness. Yet here it is, essential, balanced by a cool blue crescent that pulses with calm evidence that the soul does not erase its flames. It tempers them. Toward the center, colors blur into white, a radiant point no larger than a seed, yet vast as silence. This is the self, undivided, unborn, uninterpretable. Around it the ego orbits humbled, the outer eye recognizes that it is not ruler but attendant to a deeper throne. In that recognition, the old tension between control and surrender dissolves. I exhale, something heavy leaves my chest like a migrating bird. Yet even as I watch, the mandala softens, shifts. Patterns breathe, petals open wider, new hues seep in. Violet memories, emerald hopes, charcoal grief freshly surface. The design is alive. Wholeness, it seems, is not a static perfection, but a living process, a heart beating, a tide pulsing, forever rearranging itself to include what was once excluded. The circle expands, absorbing my shadow's latest confession, my anima's latest song, the wise old man's recent riddle-turned epiphany. Every insight, every relapse, every reconciliation redraws the geometry. I realize the mandala is not only map, it is mirror. As I evolve, it evolves. As I integrate, it integrates me. A hush deeper than silence settles. I sense the collective unconscious, the vast field in which every soul's mandala floats like a luminous island. For a breath, I feel them all, countless circles spinning in the darkness, each unique, all sharing the same white center. We are solitary and inseparable, many and one. A tremor of belonging passes through me, more intimate than any touch. The dream begins to fade, the sand mandala glows, then scatters on an unseen wind. I do not mourn its passing. Its impermanence is the final teaching. Cling to no form, even the form of wholeness. The circle will redraw itself tomorrow. I wake with dawn in my window. On my desk lies a blank page. I draw a simple circle, place a dot at its core, and smile. The work continues, not toward a final image, but toward an ever-expanding capacity to hold everything I am, have been, and will yet become. For the mandala is both destination and traveler, ever dissolving, ever becoming, forever calling me home. Absolutely. Here's Chapter VI, The Trickster's Game, expanded in the poetic, symbolic, and introspective voice of Carl Jung approx. 600 words, Chapter VI, The Trickster's Game. In every truth, the shadow of the trickster grins. He arrives not with solemnity, but with spectacle, cartwheeling through the corridors of my mind like wind through a temple. He wears no fixed face, today a jester with bells that mock my solemnity, tomorrow a sly fox or a silver-tongued god with laughter tucked behind his teeth. He is the trickster, the shapeshifter, the saboteur, the sacred clown. And he knows me better than I know myself. His entrance is always disruptive. Just when I think I have constructed something durable, an identity, a plan, a belief, he taps it lightly, and it crumbles like dry parchment. Too rigid, he cackles. You built this to feel safe, not to feel real. His fingers are flames that flicker through my intentions, revealing the lies I told myself in noble tones. In the trickster's mirror, I see the masks I thought were my skin, the pious philosopher, the humble sage, the righteous sufferer, the victim who secretly thirsts for power. He strips me, not cruelly, but truthfully. He laughs, not at me, but through me, a laughter that is both wound and medicine. It shakes the scaffolding of ego, toppling the false certainty I clung to like a shield. Do you see now? He asks, voice bending like smoke. Everything you thought was fixed is only one turn of the kaleidoscope. In his presence, nothing remains static. Truth dances, meaning shifts. One moment, he places a golden key in my hand. The next, I realize it unlocks nothing. But in trying the lock, I discover a door I had never noticed. He is not a guide in the traditional sense. He points sideways, backwards, sometimes into the absurd. He leads me into the labyrinth, but it is not a trap. It is a game, and in this game the prize is freedom, not freedom from responsibility, but from identification, from the illusion that I am only what I perform. In mocking my masks, he invites me to something deeper than sincerity, authenticity born of contradiction. He shows me that I can be wise and foolish, broken and brilliant, sinner and sacred, all in one breath. His lineage is ancient. In myth, he is Hermes stealing Apollo's cattle. He is Loki slipping between loyalties. He is Coyote laughing at gods and men alike. In every culture, the trickster dances at the edge of the fire, unwelcome, yet necessary. He destabilizes order so that transformation may occur. Without him, we would fossilize in our convictions, mistaking the mask for the face. And so I learned to laugh with him. The laugh begins as release, then it becomes revelation. In the trickster's presence, I lose control only to gain clarity. I stumble through paradoxes, yet each misstep leads to something vital I never would have sought had I stayed on the narrow road. He teaches through disorientation. His lessons are not taught, but lived in errors, in slips, in sudden flashes of recognition that hit like lightning and vanish before I can write them down. He is the god of thresholds, and wherever I resist change, he waits, murking, spinning riddles. Don't take yourself too seriously. He whispers as he paints my self, image with graffiti, even the self laughs sometimes. I used to fear him, now I thank him, for without his mischief I would have mistaken the journey for a destination. Without his reversals I would have clung to the known, never discovering that the psyche breathes through contradiction. Without his tricks I would have worshipped the map and missed the mystery. In the labyrinth of becoming, the trickster is my unexpected compass. He guides not with certainty, but with chaos laced in wisdom, not with doctrine, but with paradox, and every time I laugh with him, a little more of my soul returns. Every psychic advance demands a descent into the maternal depths. She comes not with logic, but with presence. A presence that precedes words, a weight that does not crush but cradles. The great mother, source and sanctuary, emerges not from above, but from beneath. She does not speak in commands, she hums. Her song is soil and sea, heartbeat and harvest. I feel her before I see her, and when she envelops me, I do not resist. I descend, not as a hero, but as a child, not to conquer, but to surrender. Her womb is vast and dark and warm. It is not the absence of light, but the fullness of it, unseen, not absent. Within this darkness, nothing is separate. The ego softens, boundaries blur. I am no longer an individual, but an echo of the collective, a seed within a seed awaiting shape. She is Gaia, soil that holds bones and roots alike. She is Demeter, weeping for what is lost, rejoicing in every return. She is Isis, who gathers the pieces of the broken soul, yet she is also Kali, the devourer, Tiamat, the storm. Mother, who births and destroys with the same breath. In her resides both mercy and terror, creation and collapse held in one vast hand. To be held by her is to be dismantled. She strips me of illusions tenderly, yet thoroughly. The masks I wore, man, thinker, seeker, peel away like skin that has outlived its purpose. Beneath them I find no clear identity, only clay, wet, trembling, uncertain. She does not ask me who I am. She asks only that I allow her to reshape me. Her hands are time itself. They do not rush. I feel her kneading the hidden grief I buried beneath achievement. She smooths the fear I carried like armor across lifetimes. She traces ancient shame and sings it into silence. In this place there are no goals, no striving, no upward path, only being. And it is here, in this still, dark chamber, that I remember what the ego forgets, that transformation begins in retreat, not in conquest, that birth is not forward motion, but deep immersion, that to become whole one must first become formless. I feel the tension in her womb, the eternal rhythm of birth and death. One moment I dissolve, the next I gather again. There is no clear line between ending and beginning here, only a cycle pulsing with ancient intelligence, older than myth, deeper than language. The same rhythm that moves the moon, the tides, the tears of lovers parted and reunited. And in that rhythm I hear her silence, not absence, but profound listening, not void, but potential. It is in this silence that she speaks the most. Rest, she says, though no words are spoken, there is nothing to prove in my presence, you are already sacred, and I rest, not from exhaustion, but from effort, for so long I have tried to become, here I remember that I already am. In her stillness I am not lost, I am being made. When at last the womb begins to open, I do not rise with triumph, but with humility. I carry her soil under my nails, her breath in my lungs, her song woven through my nervous system like a lullaby I didn't know I missed. I do not leave her, I carry her, every act of creation, every word spoken in truth, every kindness that grows from shadow is the sign that her hands still shape me, for she is not a destination. She is the matrix from which the self awakens, again and again. And every descent into her womb is not regression, but a return to the most original form of love, being held until we remember who we are.